Hi, my name is Christian Chu, and I'm presenting on how COVID has affected the population. Just to get some topics of discussion up so we know what's going on, at first we're going to have background information, and basically we're going to be giving some context about COVID, and then we're going to go into why COVID is well known, and just to clarify some things, and then after that, we're going to go into what is COVID-19, and just explain a little bit more about it, and then we're going to go into the biology of COVID-19, where we'll go more in depth about the disease. After that, we're going to go into common symptoms and critical cases of COVID-19 and what happens. After that, we're going to go into the poverty rate during COVID and how that was affected by COVID. And lastly, we're going to go into the response to COVID-19. COVID-19, also known as SARS-CoV-2, which is the disease's scientific name, has caused many social and economic impacts like the quarantine that we went through, and another effect that is caused by COVID-19 was global trade and how it was slowed down. Even though the disease or the vaccine has been available for emergency use since December 18th, 2020, we're still living from effect of these impacts. Why is COVID well known? COVID originated in Wuhan, China, and spread quickly around the globe since the first case. The disease eventually closed stores, businesses, and schools, and since everyone can be affected by COVID, most scientists in the field of microbiology, molecular biology, cellular biology, biochemistry, and chemistry have been focusing to create a vaccine in order to reopen our world. And here we have a picture of Wuhan, China, and these are basically all the cases. And you can see that it originates in Wuhan. What is COVID-19? COVID-19 is a single-stranded RNA virus that is made up of that has genomes made up of ribonucleic acids. Earlier in class, we learned about genomes and how they are the haploid set of chromosomes in a cell. And we also learned that ribonucleic acids are made up of 4 smaller molecules that are called ribonucleic bases. There are actually 3 types of COVID viruses that aren't related to the disease, but they affect other things that the way they affect us. So first we have the alpha coronavirus, and that's the disease humans are affected by, and the other 2 are called delta and gamma coronavirus, and these mainly affect birds and fish. And here we have an RNA strand basically for context of the disease. Biology and COVID-19. Most viruses can be contracted through the nose, mouth, eyes, or direct contact with someone who has the virus. COVID is obviously no exception. The disease targets the lungs and the upper respiratory tissue, which are the nose, mouth, and throat. After the virus has been contracted, it goes through the process of viral replication, and viral replication cycle is when the virus targets host cells and then continues to affect other hosts. According to studies, COVID-19 cells attack other organs that have the ACE2, which is a protein in cells that are located mainly in the heart, lungs, kidney, and nasal area. Fever, cough, fatigue, loss of taste or smell, nausea, and vomiting are all symptoms of COVID-19. And here we have the viral replication cycle in a cell. Let's move on. What is common in critical cases of COVID-19? Most critical cases of COVID-19, most people have a high proportion of aberrant coagulation. This basically means when blood changes from a liquid to a solid gel-like form, and this eventually creates something called a blood clot. When someone gets an unneeded blood clot, it is known as being in a hypercoagulable state. And a blood clot is usually something that occurs when you start bleeding or have a wound, and it creates a scab and heals your wound. When you have a blood clot that is not needed, it can lead to strokes and heart attacks. So with a stroke, basically, when oxygen and blood aren't flowing to your veins to your brain because of a blood clot, it can create a stroke. And then when blood that's supposed to go to your heart is cut off by a blood clot, it creates a heart attack. And here we have a vein and a blood clot cutting off blood flow. And yeah. Poverty rate during COVID-19. The poverty rate is one way COVID has affected the world besides the actual disease. This is the effect on the economy. First of all, what is considered poverty in America? In America, poverty is considered someone who makes less than or equal to $12,880 annually. In 2019, when schools and businesses were still open, there was a 10.5% poverty rate. 1 year later, during the pandemic, and when small businesses had to file for bankruptcy and large corporations had to let many people go, the poverty rate rose to 11.4%. Right now, that may not sound like a large increase, but in America at the time, there were about 325 329.5 million people. So that little 0.9% increase was just a little bit more than 2.9 million people. Response to COVID. The response to COVID was very quick and efficient, and the vaccine was created in less than 1 year. That is the quickest vaccine that has ever been made, with the second quickest being a disease called the mumps, which inflamed the lower part of someone's head, and the vaccine took about 4 years to make. As of now, the 3 authorized vaccines are Pfizer, Moderna, and Johnson & Johnson, but the FDA has come out with a statement in April of this year that put a warning label on Johnson & Johnson because it has caused blood clotting, which is one of the common symptoms that people have when they have a severe case of COVID. As of now, according to the New York Times, about 39% of the world is fully vaccinated, and just a little bit over 50% have 1 dose. Overall, the response to COVID is very quick and efficient, and without the help of the scientific community, the world would be in a much different place than it is now. And here we have the Pfizer vaccination, and thank you for your time.